Welcome to my channel Billionaire Focus. On the 11th of April 2024, Billionaire Truong My Lan was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Today we look at Vietnamese billionaire Truong My Lan, property tycoon and real estate developer. Currently she is a convicted felon serving a life sentence and on death row awaiting death by lethal injection by the Vietnamese prison authorities. To become a billionaire sometimes requires one to have a strong work ethic, above-average intelligence and a voracious appetite to acquire massive wealth. This can easily lead one to slide into committing criminal activities as happened to Truong My Lan. Lan was born on 13 October 1956 and started out helping sell cosmetics and hair products with her mother, a Chinese businesswoman, in a market stall in Ho Chi Minh City's oldest market. Her family is of Teochew heritage, from the village of Gezhou, China. She and her family established the Van Tin Phat Company in 1992, becoming a Vietnamese real estate owner and developer. Around 1986, the Vietnamese government decided to step away from socialism and embrace capitalism. The economic reform was known as Doi Moi. Over the years VTP grew to become one of Vietnam's richest real estate groups, focusing on acquisition and development of prime land, luxury residential buildings, prime offices, hotels, restaurants and shopping malls, and also financial services. From 2012 until 2022, Lan controlled Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank, SCB, Vietnam's largest bank by assets in Ho Chi Minh City. SCB was established in 2012 from the merger of three banks facing bankruptcy in 2011. Nevertheless, the State Bank of Vietnam allowed the merger of these three banks. Contrary to Vietnamese law, Truong My Lan through cunning and corruption managed to control it through more than 24 middlemen. Through this illegal control she directed 90% of loans to her company and associated shell companies, essentially using SCB as her own personal cash cow, generously benefiting herself and government cronies in and outside Vietnam like China and Hong Kong. The loans resulted in losses of $12.5 billion. Today the company is linked to some of Ho Chi Minh's most valuable downtown properties, such as the glittering 39-story Times Square Saigon, the 5-star Windsor Plaza Hotel, the 37-story Capitol Place office building and the 5-star Sherwood Residence Hotel where Lan lived until her arrest. Lan met her husband, Hong Kong real estate investor Eric Chu Nap Ky, in 1992. They have 2 daughters. To avoid financial scrutiny she bribed handsomely. One former central bank official, sentenced to life in prison, received $5.2 million in bribes for violating banking regulations. Lan was arrested on 6 October 2022 after years of investigation. 3 SCB employees subsequently committed suicide, on 6, 9 and 14 October. Panic struck the financial system. A run on the bank ensued. She was accused of illegally issuing bonds worth tens of millions of US dollars in 2018 and 2019, using 916 fake loan applications to appropriate more than $12.5 billion United States dollars from Saigon Joint Stock Commercial Bank, of which she owned more than 90% of the shares, from 9 February 2018 to 7 October 2022. The arrest and trial were considered part of the anti-corruption policy of leader Nguyen Phu Trong, who described it as a blazing furnace. Lan was convicted of masterminding a $12.5 billion fraud scheme. Convicted of illegally controlling the Saigon Commercial Bank from 2012 to 2022. Approving loans to ghost companies and bribing officials. Fraudulent acquisition of assets. Laundering $18.1 billion. Illegal cross-border money transfers. Lan is accused of illegally transferring $4.5 billion into and out of Vietnam. Lan is one of the few women in Vietnam to receive a death sentence for a white-collar crime. She has denied the charges and filed an appeal against her sentence. The "Blazing Furnace" campaign in Vietnam has led to the resignations of 2 presidents and the jailing or disciplining of hundreds of officials. So in summary, behind the stately yellow portico of the colonial-era courthouse in Ho Chi Minh City, a 67-year-old Vietnamese property developer was sentenced for looting one of the country's largest banks over a period of 11 years. It's a rare verdict. She is one of very few women in Vietnam to be sentenced to death for a white-collar crime. The decision is a reflection of the dizzying scale of the fraud. 2,700 people were summoned to testify, while 10 state prosecutors and around 200 lawyers were involved. The evidence was in 104 boxes weighing a total of 6 tons. 85 others were tried with Truong My Lan, who denied the charges and can appeal. All of the defendants were found guilty. 4 received life in jail. The rest were given prison terms ranging from 20 years to 3 years suspended. Truong My Lan's husband and niece received jail terms of 9 and 17 years respectively. Although Vietnam is best known outside the country for its fast-growing manufacturing sector as an alternative supply chain to China. However, most wealthy Vietnamese made their money developing and speculating in property. All land is officially state-owned. Getting access to it often relies on personal relationships with state officials. Corruption escalated as the economy grew, and became endemic. Vietnamese law prohibits any individual from holding more than 5% of the shares in any bank. They accused her of using that power to appoint her own people as managers, and then ordering them to approve hundreds of loans to the network of shell companies she controlled. The amounts taken out are staggering. Her loans made up 93% of all the bank's lending. According to prosecutors, over a period of 3 years from February 2019, she ordered her driver to withdraw more than $4 billion in cash from the bank, and store it in her basement. That much cash, even if all of it was in Vietnam's largest denomination banknotes, would weigh 2 tons. She was also accused of bribing generously to ensure her loans were never scrutinized. It was well known in the market that Truong My Lan and her Van Tin Phag group were using SCB as their own piggy bank to fund the mass acquisition of real estate in the most prime locations. On the 5th of March 2024, the trial began at the Ho Chi Minh City People's Court. At $12.5 billion United States dollars, it is considered the largest corruption scandal in Southeast Asia, as by comparison, the Malaysian 1MDB scandal in the 2010s involved only $5 billion United States dollars. Her husband Eric Chu Nap Ky, a businessman in the real estate sector in Hong Kong, was also summoned to the trial, as well as her niece Truong Hu Van, age 34, the CEO of a property management firm. Some of this money has been used to contribute to multiple projects in her ancestral hometown in China. Lan's embezzlement of $12.5 billion equals about 3% of Vietnam's total GDP for 2022. In March 2024, her niece, who had lived with her since childhood, admitted that she established 52 shell companies and 4 regular companies to obtain 155 loans at SCB. 5 of the former leaders of SCB are now on the run or in hiding. On the 11th of April 2024, Lan was sentenced to death by lethal injection for embezzlement. All the other defendants were also found guilty and given sentences ranging from 3 years and upwards. On the 19th of September 2024, the second trial begun, in which Lan and 33 other defendants were accused of money laundering and selling illegal bonds. The suit alleges that Lan illegally transferred $4.5 billion United States dollars in and out of Vietnam between 2012 and 2022 using 21 companies controlled by Lan's real estate company. On the 17th of October, she was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on the said charges, alongside the death sentence she had already received.